Hey everybody, welcome back to another Medical Monday with Nicrae. Excuse my voice, I'm not sure why I'm cracking right now. Alright, for today's video, we will be talking about, oh my god. She's like, yeah, this noise. Is she joking? Anyway, today we'll be talking about why you have menstrual cramps. It's so irritating. It comes every month. And I feel like for me personally, sometimes I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, I've done nothing. And this is the punishment I get for just not having a baby. Like, is this a joke? Is this an actual joke? But there is a, I guess you could say like a biological or a chemical reason why you have period cramps. So some people actually don't even experience menstrual cramps, believe it or not. I know, mind blower. It's crazy. I'm jealous of those people. But we're going to talk about why you have period cramps and what you can do to alleviate those cramps or different alternative options. So, specific reason why you have period cramps. So during your menstrual cycle, what's happening is your uterus is contracting and expelling off your uterine lining. So it's usually your endometrium that's shedding off. I don't know if your myometrium is shut off with it. Your endometrium for sure is shut off and sloughed off, and that's the blood that is coming out. I'm sorry, I didn't give this precursor, but I feel like if you're on this channel, you already know, like, we kind of just flow with it. But if you're uncomfortable with talking about period and blood, you might want to click off this video. Anyway, so when your uterus is contracting, it's expelling off that endometrium, or the inside of your uterus, basically because it's already harbored and prepared a wonderful little living space for a fetus to implant, but it didn't happen. So now they're mad, you know, she's not happy, she wanted a baby, you didn't give it to her, so she's getting back at you. She's going to expel all that blood. And then what happens is when it's contracting, there's a hormone. It kind of is a hormone, so it's prostaglandin. Prostaglandins act as a hormone in the sense that they involve themselves with like inflammation, tissue recovery, things like that. And so prostaglandins send something to your brain to say like, to send like almost like a pain signal, if that makes sense. So the reason why you actually have pain from menstrual cramps is because of your prostaglandins. So it's usually because some type of inflammation in your body. So if you notice, or if you can change your lifestyle, usually if you have months where you are eating healthier, or if you have months where you are being more conscious of like exercise, more water intake, and less high fat processed foods, sugary foods, you'll notice a shift in your menstrual cycle. So it's directly correlated because prostaglandins is directly correlated with inflammation. So if you watch what you're eating during your cycle, sometimes you will have less pain. This is not all like a fix-all, so to speak, but it can be a factor. And so what you can do to alleviate some of the pain and discomfort are a couple of things that I try. Specifically, I can just speak on what works for me, and what I've also recommended other people to do. One thing, a huge thing that has changed like my menstrual cycle 100% has been using organic pads and tampons. So I started doing that about 4 or 5 years ago. Just after doing a bunch of research. We're actually gonna do a video on organic tampons and pads, but just a quick precursor. There are a lot of, I guess you could say, fillers or chemicals that are in pads that are directly correlated with reproductive issues. And like I said, we'll go into detail about what are in these pads specifically and why they're not good and why you should switch to organic pads. That will be a separate video. So one thing is switching to organic pads. Another thing that you can do, that I do for cramps, is get ahead of the pain. So if you don't like natural alternatives and you're just okay with popping pills, which, I mean, when you're in pain and you have cramps as bad as mine, I'm for that. Pop some pills, sis. Like, sometimes it's just, you just can't even take it and it just feels like death. Get ahead of the pain, and when I'm saying like get ahead of the pain, I mean take ibuprofen. You know what day your period is coming. And if you don't know how to track your period, I encourage using apps like Flow or Period Tracker, and you can put in like when your period starts, when your period ends, and you can also put in like little different notes like, oh, this period was heavier, this period was 2 days late, this period was 3 days early, just so you have a good feel of your cycle. And it also like tracks your cycle and says like, oh, this period was, your menstrual cycle for this month was 27 days or was 31 days, just so you can see like what your normal is. So if anything outside of your normal occurs, you know like, okay, what happened in this month, why am I not normal? You can go see a doctor, things like that. So use a period tracker or your calendar if that works better for you, or some type of app. But when you know when your period starts, a week before, just a couple of days before, start taking your ibuprofen, or Tylenol, or a dog, or Advil, whatever works for you. I typically take ibuprofen, and that's just because that's just my business. Like, that's just what works for me. So I'll usually take like 2 ibuprofens. If I know, like, sometimes I have weird cycles where like one cycle I'll have like little to almost no cramps, and I'm like, okay, like what did I do to deserve this? I love this for me. This is what it should be like. And then other cycles I feel like I am on my deathbed, like this is it for me and I'm ready to go. So like when I know like my pattern and I know a bad one is coming, the week before I'll start taking 2 a day, just 2 a day, and then by the time that it hits, the pain is a little less. And then another good alternative, because I don't always do that, but if I know I'm gonna have like a super bad one, because I can typically feel when it's gonna be super bad, because I start getting pain like almost a week and a half before. But if I know it's gonna be just an average period, which they typically are, what I'll just do is the day of, drink hot water, about 8 ounces of hot water with 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I do hot water just because I love hot drinks. Anybody that knows me knows that I heat up like all my drinks. It's just like a McCray thing. But I do hot water with apple cider vinegar, and it helps with, apple cider vinegar is really good for inflammation. So we talked about how prostaglandins are in charge of those menstrual cramps, and prostaglandins is directly correlated with inflammation. So to kind of tone down inflammation, you need something that will attack inflammation, which is apple cider vinegar. And then I also drink a bunch of tea, but I usually drink tea like every day. So that's just like a part of my routine anyway. And then I love to be underneath a heating pad. What I also suggest too, if you're on the go and you're at work or you don't have access to an outlet, Walmart and CVS have like thermocare packs. They come like, I'll put a picture of what the box looks like, but it's like a little box of heating pads for your abdomen, and they work so well. I don't know how many times they've saved me. Like, I'll be somewhere and I'm like just like dying, and I put one of those on, and it helps a lot for me. People say that working out helps. However, I'm not gonna lie to you. Me specifically, it does not help for me. Usually if I do the second day, which I usually don't have cramps on the second day, my cramps are usually the worst on the first day, and the second day is kind of like smooth sailing from there, because I'm like, I've already experienced the worst of the worst. Like, anything after this is whatever. But the second day, like, I'll have less pressure and less overall grogginess. But for some people, working out does help. You kind of just have to know your body and see how that works out for you. In addition to, along with working out, once again, diet, just eating healthy. If you some people usually actually don't even have a diet, like an appetite on their period, or they might have an increased appetite. It just depends on the person. And so what you can do is just make sure that you're eating healthy foods, but high in iron and protein, because you are losing a lot of blood. So sometimes I know specifically for me, when I am on my cycle, I'm extremely tired. And it's because you're losing a lot of blood. And if you already have lower iron levels in your blood, it can push you into anemia around your cycle. So it's just important to make sure that you're getting enough iron and that you are not deficient in that area. So just making sure, whether you have to do a supplement if you can't get it through food, or just increasing your iron intake. So you can do that through meats, you can do that through citrus with vegetables, with green leafy vegetables, whatever works for you. Another really good idea is introducing aromatherapy or essential oils into your environment, such that it just creates an environment for like relaxation. So lavender, chamomile, anything that has like a relaxing tone or feeling or affect to will be really good for you. I personally love lavender, so even if you have like lavender going in a diffuser, you can have lavender oil in your pillow, and there are actually even some essential oil blends that are specifically made for menstrual cramps, and you can put them on your stomach. And some of them, depending on it's really person to person, but so I can only give you recommendations. So the menstrual oil, I used to use it in college, and for me personally it did not work, but for one of my friends it did work for her, so I ended up just giving it to her. So whatever works for you, but there are different foods that help with reducing, or studies have shown that they can help reduce menstrual cramps, and some of those are avocados, peanut butter, prunes, dare I say prunes? I hate prunes personally. Chickpeas. I love chickpeas and I love hummus. So if you don't want to eat chickpeas just like them by themselves, you can make some hummus with your chickpeas. There's also bananas is really good, another good source of potassium. Papaya, brown rice, walnuts, olive oil, broccoli, anything with vitamin E. Chicken, flaxseed, or anything with omega-3s, omega-6, omega-9. So you can even take like an omega pill, like an all-encompassing omega pill. And some things that you should avoid for sure is anything with dairy. Dairy is a huge contributor to inflammation. So definitely avoid ice cream, yogurts, cheese. It's just gonna make you feel even more bloated too. It's just not a good time. But yeah, now that is all I have to say about menstrual cramps and how to get rid of them. So if you have any other questions as it relates to women's health or any other health topics, of course, always feel free to leave them in the description. I always say description box. Leave them in the comments below. You don't have access to the description box, so what am I even talking about? But leave them in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to make a video. As always, subscribe, like, share, and join our family. We love to have you. We love to share the wealth of knowledge, and we look forward to seeing you in another video. We'll see you later. Bye.